basically 22% of Colorado are grasslands in eastern plains of Colorado. And those grasslands, that whole area is mostly privately owned. Something like 10% is publicly owned, the rest is privately owned. And that area is split between farmlands and ranch lands. And the ranch lands are primarily dominated by blue grama buffalo grass communities. Those are both native plant communities. And prior to ranching, in the early 1800s and prior to that, we used to have a lot of bison, 30 million bison out on the Great Plains. And so when we actually ask, as a biologist, we ask the question, how do we maintain grasslands? And the natural processes that are maintaining our grasslands out in the eastern plains of Colorado: grazing, climate, especially drought, and fire. And the number one is grazing. There's no question that grazing maintains those grasslands. And so if we don't have 30 million bison roaming the plains, the next best thing we can have are cattle. And it's not that cattle are a surrogate for bison. It's not quite so simple. But the structure that cattle produce are a very similar structure that bison would produce. And that structure is critical to the grassland birds. And so the birds are actually doing pretty well on our native rangelands that are managed by our ranchers. Every rancher is very knowledgeable about what's on their property. They might not have the name, right? They might not know what the name is, but they know what they see, whether it's a lizard or snake or a bird or a fox, or they're very, very aware of what their surroundings are. Every time I go out with a rancher and I can share the name of a grass or a plant or a bird, I think it definitely enriches their lives. And it definitely enriches my life to understand, hey, they've had this, they've seen this come and go. One year it was really common, the next year it was not common. So it enriches my knowledge of the plants and animals out there in the plains. We've got a native system out there, a native ecosystem out there that is actually producing a livelihood. The economy is there. They actually can make a living off of a native landscape, and the ranching industry is not hurting the land most of the time. It's actually helping the land.